Today, we are diving into a really fascinating idea that pops up in cultures all over the world, the story of a miraculous birth. Now, you might think you know this story, but trust me, it's way more common and varied than you probably imagine. So, let me just ask you straight up. When you hear that phrase, how many examples really come to mind? For most of us, it's probably just one. But what if I told you that's just the very tip of the iceberg? The reality is, this exact kind of story is woven into the fabric of myths and religions pretty much everywhere, spanning thousands of years and countless cultures. It is a much bigger story than you might realize.
Okay, so before we get into all the really cool examples, it's super important that we're all on the same page here. What exactly do we mean when we talk about a miraculous conception in this context?
For our purposes, it's pretty straightforward. A miraculous conception is any story where a child is conceived without a human father. The key ingredient here is some kind of divine or supernatural intervention. Whether it's a god, a symbolic dream, or some cosmic force. That's the crucial element we're going to be tracking.
All right, let's kick things off with the story that's probably the most familiar to many of us, the birth of Jesus in the Christian tradition.
So, as the New Testament tells it, Mary, a virgin who was engaged to Joseph, conceived Jesus, but not through any normal human means. Nope, it was directly through the power of the Holy Spirit. This right here is what sets the stage for Jesus' totally unique identity.
And this isn't some minor detail in the story. It's a core belief in Christianity. The virgin birth is meant to underscore Jesus' divine nature, and it's a cornerstone of the faith, so much so that it's celebrated every single year at Christmas.
But here is where it gets really interesting. Long before the Christian story, similar ideas were already floating around the ancient world, especially in places like Egypt, Rome, and Greece.
Take ancient Egypt, for instance. We've got the story of the god Horus. His mother Isis conceives him only after his father Osiris has been killed. She actually resurrects Osiris just long enough to make it happen through supernatural means. So while she wasn't a virgin in the strictest sense, many later traditions saw her as this virgin-like mother figure.
So why tell the story that way? Well, the whole point is to show that Horus isn't just any old god. His miraculous origin is proof of his divine status and his critical role in keeping the universe in balance.
Okay, now let's jump over to ancient Rome. Their big founding myth is all about the twins Romulus and Remus. Their mother, Rhea Silvia, was a Vestal virgin, a priestess who had taken a literal vow of celibacy. But she becomes pregnant by the god Mars.
This story packs a huge political punch. By making the city's founders the sons of a god and a virgin priestess, the myth is basically screaming that Rome's very existence was divinely approved from the get-go. It's a heck of a story for legitimacy.
The ancient Greeks were all over these kinds of tales too. Think about the hero Perseus. His mother, Danae, was locked away by her dad in a bronze tower. But that didn't stop the king of the gods, Zeus. He visited her as a shower of golden light, and that's how Perseus was conceived. Definitely a non-sexual and very miraculous event.
And this pattern isn't just stuck in the Mediterranean and the Middle East. Not at all. If we look eastward, we find the exact same theme playing a huge role in major Asian traditions.
In some Hindu traditions, the birth of the god Krishna is described as miraculous. Now, the nuance here is key. The texts kind of vary on the details, but the consistent theme is that his conception was no ordinary thing. It was all divinely managed as part of a grand cosmic plan. Then we have the Buddhist tradition, where the story of the Buddha's conception is just beautiful and deeply symbolic. His mother, Queen Maya, has a dream that a pure white elephant enters her side. This isn't meant to be a biology lesson, it's a poetic way of saying this was a pure, world-changing conception. And the meaning couldn't be clearer. From the very moment of his conception, Siddhartha Gautama was different. This miraculous event signals that he is not destined for a normal life, but for an absolutely extraordinary spiritual journey. And the examples just keep on coming. In Aztec mythology, the god Huitzilopochtli is conceived when his mother is touched by a ball of feathers that just falls out of the sky. All across Asia and Africa, we find these recurring stories of great figures being conceived by light or wind or divine breath. It's a truly global phenomenon.
Okay, so we've seen that these stories are pretty much everywhere. But the big question, the real question, is why? What is it about this idea of a miraculous birth that has struck such a chord with so many different cultures for so long?
Well, when you boil them all down, three powerful themes just keep showing up. First, it establishes a divine origin.
It makes it crystal clear this person is more than human. Second, it symbolizes purity and destiny, marking them for some great purpose. And third, it gives an entire culture or religion a powerful origin story that shapes their whole identity.
And this table just lays it out perfectly. Look at the pattern. Whether it's to establish a central religious doctrine like with Jesus, legitimize an entire empire like with Romulus and Remus, or to signify a unique spiritual path like with the Buddha, this story serves a profound purpose. It elevates an individual, and by doing that, it elevates the entire belief system or nation they represent.
So what does this all tell us about, well, us? What does it say about humanity that so many of us, across time and across cultures, reach for these supernatural origins to explain our most important, world-changing figures? It's a question that really speaks volumes about our collective search for meaning, for purpose, and for a touch of the divine.